Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Friends of Ballona Wetlands' 4th annual migration celebration. Yeah, we're doing it at home this year. We were disappointed to have canceled the event in April due to the COVID pandemic, but we're glad that everyone is here and hopefully everyone's safe and healthy. So for those of you who don't know about Friends of Ballona Wetlands, we were founded in 1978 to preserve and protect the wetlands and to advocate for the next generation of environmental stewards. We sued the developers. Our founder, Ruth Lansford, sued the developers to save Ballona. And we are now, along with Audubon Society and the Bay Foundation, permitted to operate educational programming and restoration programs in the Ballona Wetlands Ecological Reserve. In terms of our restoration, which we're going to talk about in a workshop later this afternoon that we hope you'll enjoy and join us, one of our proudest achievements is bringing back the federally endangered El Segundo blue butterfly. But you guys aren't here to listen to me. You're here to listen to Nessa talk to you about birds and teach you all the things that she knows. Nessa is our resident self-professed bird nerd. She's our manager of scientific programs at the Friends of Ballona Wetlands. Nessa is also our staff biologist with a degree in wildlife, fish, and conservation biology from UC Davis, and she has a master's degree in natural resources from Oregon State University. I hope you enjoy the show. I'm sure you will. Take it away, Nessa.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're so excited to have you here today. Again, we're disappointed we can't be out in the wetlands with you, but this webinar will prepare you to go out to the wetlands yourself and just be able to do your own birding and fall in love with birds if you aren't already. So feel free to ask questions along the way. If we can't answer them during the presentation, we'll answer them at the end. And hopefully after this webinar, you'll be excited and you'll want to go out and visit the Ballona Wetlands with your household. Don't forget to wear a mask and be safe and social distance, but we really encourage you to get outside. And when we can safely do tours again, we absolutely will. And we're gonna try to set up some virtual tours in the future. So thanks again for coming, and let's get started. So we're really here to be talking about beginner birding basics. So this is really for everybody, folks who've never birded before, and folks who maybe have been birding for a little while and they just want to see some fun videos about birds. So if you're just starting out birding, you need a couple of things. You can totally just go out and walk around and look at birds. That's great. But I do recommend that you invest in some binoculars. They can range from on the cheap side all the way to thousands of dollars. So folks can go crazy if they want, or you can just spend a few dollars. So binoculars in the typical size are listed here on the screen: 8 by 32, 8 by 42, and 10 by 42. So the little number at the front is the magnification. So 10 takes you a little bit closer, but when you're just starting out, you may not need that. And sometimes it actually reduces how much you can see. So I recommend going with the 8 by 32 or 8 by 42 to start off. You're also going to need a bird guide. So we actually have provided in the handout section on your control panel on the side of your screen, there's 2 handouts. There's a handout with the bird that's labeled with different parts of the bird that will help you when you're talking to other people about colors and shapes on a bird. And there's the other handout is a downloadable bird guide that you can use during this presentation to help you pick out the birds along the way. But when you go out into the field, you really want to have something with you. So some of you may actually already have our brand new Birds of Ballona field guide, which is super helpful when you're getting started. It has 125 of the most common birds found at Ballona, and also most of the backyard birds. So you can use it in your own backyard when you're sitting on your porch drinking coffee. But when you progress and you really start to get into birding, I really recommend you get a more serious bird guide. So the Sibley or the National Geographic are the 2 big ones. And the reason why that's important is they have really detailed drawings that actually show like all of the different subspecies, and they talk about the differences between male, female, juvenile, different molts. So like that's really serious, but if you get into birding, you're gonna wanna do that. When I was in college, the way I learned the birds was I bought an old copy of a National Geographic and I cut it up and I made flashcards out of it to learn how to identify the most common birds in California. And you also need to love birds. So you do have that handout, which has the parts of a bird. So there are some parts of the bird that folks use most often to identify what they are, such as the crown, the tail, the rump, the back, the wing, and there's different parts of the wing that you'll need to learn eventually if you really get into birding, and the belly and the breast. Those are the big ones, as well as the bill or the beak. They can have different colors on them or be different shapes. So tips on what to look for. You want to look for color primarily. That's the big one. That's why everybody loves birds. They're so colorful and wonderful. Size can be helpful, though in binoculars and at a distance, it can be misleading. So you don't want to use that as like the #1 identifying factor. Shapes, so shapes of bills, shapes of the wing, tail. There's different aspects of shape in a bird that could be used. Where they are, that's really helpful. You're not going to find, usually, you're not going to find a desert bird hanging out in the wetlands. So that'll help kind of narrow down what you're looking for. Behavior and song. Some birds fly a certain way. Some birds sing a certain song. Some birds are so secretive, you may only hear their song and you may not get to see them at all. So that's kind of a more advanced skill. Over time, you may learn some bird songs and be able to just be walking down the street and hear something and say, oh, I know what that is. And identifying markers. So things like eye rings, crests, other really identifying markers like a flight, when they open their wings, they have like a flight patch. Those sorts of things can help you pick out a bird rather quickly. So let's see some birds. I'm going to switch over to our video and take us through some birds. It may take a second to load because it's a rather large, long video. Alrighty. This is Ballona freshwater marsh. A lot of the images that we'll be seeing are from here, but we have other locations, the saltwater marsh, the riparian corridor, and Ballona Discovery Park that all have great views of birds. And the bird guide, the Ballona bird guide helps you with that. So let's start with the big guys, the egrets and the herons. These are our greats. On the left, we have a grayish bird with a dark and black and white crown, and then on the right we have a large white bird with a yellow bill. So the large white bird is a great egret. I'm trying to give you guys time to guess along the way before I get to it. It has a very large yellow bill and some yellow at the base of the eye, which actually sometimes turns green during breeding season. And they have black legs, and that's important for being able to distinguish between this other white bird that we're going to see in this image here. So the grayish bird, grayish blue bird, is a great blue heron, and it's pretty colored up and has good breeding plumage right now. And then the other guy is a snowy egret. So here you can see it's smaller than the great egret, and it has a black bill instead of a yellow bill, and it has some dark legs, but then at the bottom you see those yellow feet. So that's a pretty cool identifying feature. That look out for those yellow feet, and that should help you. So he's actually hunting right now. He's stirring up the mud and looking for stuff. Okay, so you got to see the yellow feet there. He also has yellow at the base of the eye. Look at him stretching out that neck, so that's where you get some of the shapes. Have that S-shaped neck. And he's hanging out in a tree, so sometimes we have birds that are in the water or in the trees. And here we have another heron. It has a dark head and a dark wing patch, a gray breast. And a close-up here, it also has a red eye, and this is a black crowned night heron. Here we have another heron. It's quite smaller than the other birds that we've been looking at. Dark crown, dark wings.
Hey, Nessa, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We're getting a couple of comments from people who say they can't see the video. If anyone other than Kathy can't see the video, can you maybe send us a note or a chat, please? I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Nessa.
No, that's okay. That's not what we want.
Is anyone else having a problem? Kathy, we're going to figure out what's going on with you here. Okay, I don't see any other notes, Nessa, so sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay. Kathy, you might want to log out and rejoin. It could
actually, we've got another person who can't see. Oh, here, Cindy is telling them how to do it. You have to minimize the window, Stevens and Kathy.
Okay, we'll give you a second to do that and respond to see if that worked. Sorry about that, guys.
I mean, I see it fine, but sorry, Cindy Morimoto is saying to maximize the window for those of you who can't see it.
Okay, let us know if that worked. Okay, maximize, not minimize.
Looks like you're good to go. So, Kathy's going to log back out, and the other person is able to see what's going on now. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Whew, good. I hope Kathy is
Thank you,
able
Cindy.
to re-engage and see the video. All right. So re-muted me again. Sorry about that. When we start the video, I guess it mutes me. So the green heron has those dark green wings, brown neck, and they come in. So herons and egrets come in all different shapes and sizes and colors, but they all share those long necks and those long legs. So most of you should know what these ducks are here. It's our most common duck in North America. It's a mallard, so that telltale green head and yellow bill on the male, and the female there following behind. Here is the female hanging out with a recently hatched brood that's grown up over a few weeks. Female ducks can be really hard to tell apart, so don't be worried if you're not sure. This is actually a gadwall female. We use the bill to help us tell those two apart, but as a beginner birder, I wouldn't worry too much about that. Just focus on the males. The males have the identifying colors. Here's a male gadwall. You can see the really pretty, the alternating plumage on the side and then the white wing patch. Here's another common bird that I think most of you will know. It's a Canada goose. We do have some other geese that visit the wetlands, but this is definitely our most common, and they actually nest here at Ballona. So there we have some cute chicks. This is probably the #1 most common bird at the Ballona wetlands. It's mostly black. It looks like a duck, but it's not. It's actually a rail, and it has that white bill, red eye. It's feeding a recently hatched chick. It's an American coot. Sometimes you might see them walking around on grass as well. They look kind of funny when they're walking around because they have big chicken toes, and here's one actually carrying some reed material to go and make a nest. They nest as late as August, so they're practically nesting all year round. Here are some teals. We have 2 different types here. The cinnamon teal is in the back here. You can really see that bright reddish brown cinnamon color. Also has a red eye and a dark bill. This is a local species of concern, and they're really beautiful to see when the sun is shining on them. Cinnamon teal, another dabbling duck. And here's a green-winged teal. They do have a green wing patch that we can't really see in this image, but that green color on the head and the reddish really gives them away. Let's check out some diving birds. So here is a large black bird with a long tapered bill, big wings. It has some yellow at the base of the bill that's a little hard to see. This is a double-crested cormorant. Their double crests show in breeding plumage, which he doesn't have right now. And they will actually stand on rocks and hold out their wings to dry them because they're not waterproof. Here's a really fun diving duck. It has a white face patch, a black cap, brownish body, and that blue bill is for breeding season only. This is a ruddy duck. So here's the ruddy duck transitioning into breeding plumage. So it has its blue bill, but it's not fully brown yet around the rest of his body. And here is a female ruddy duck. So it still kind of has that white face patch, but it's not as prominent as on the male. It still has that upright tail. Okay, this is my favorite duck of all. It's a cute, tiny little duck. The female is black with the white face patch, and the male is white and black, and the black feathers actually have an iridescence to them, and they're colorful. And this is a bufflehead. So beautiful. All right, so here we have a begging bird going up to its parent, asking for food. The color markings on the face are helpful in identifying this bird. And you want to pay special attention to the bill when you look at the adult. This is a pied-billed grebe. So again, not a duck, a grebe. They have special feet that help them to swim really fast in the water, but they are not agile on land, so they don't go far from the water. Here's a close-up so you can really see that bill. Another common bird. So we also have merganser ducks out there. We have a few different species, but the thing you would want to look for to identify a merganser is that really long, sharp bill. It's not something you typically see on ducks, so that'll help you identify a merganser. And this is a loon, also not super common, but that sharp bill will help you be able to tell the difference between a merganser and a duck, or and a loon. All right, let's look at some shorebirds. Here we have a black and white bird on long pink legs. That's a pretty identifying characteristics there. That is a black-necked stilt. Here is another shorebird. It's called a killdeer. It's actually named after its call. Some birds are named after the way that they sound. It has the stripes, identifying stripes on its chest and neck. And here is a little baby killdeer in the background. They're just the cutest little puffballs. So I wanted to make sure we had an image of that. Just adorable. Still has those really long legs. Looks kind of awkward. So this guy actually tried to nest at the Ballona Wetlands salt marsh up on our trestle trail, which is a really common area that we had to actually block off. Unfortunately, it was just too in the open, and we think a raccoon got to it. But that's how you know sometimes birds nest in funny places. So here is a willet. It's a looks like a relatively unmarked bird, simple coloration until it opens its wings. So that's that flight that identifying field marker I was talking about, the bright contrast between the black and white wings when it opens its wings tells you it's a willet. And they're often hanging out with these guys. This is a marbled godwit, has a two-toned bill. So it has that marbled coloration on the plumage there, and then the alternating between the orange at the base of the bill going into a black tip at the end. And just check out that bill. That is like so long, right? So they use that to probe the sand. All right, perching birds is our biggest group of birds. So we'll start with the little guys. We have a hummingbird here. Hummingbirds can be hard to identify when you're looking at the female or when you're looking at a male that's not showing off its colors very much. Their feathers on their neck are called the gorget, and they're actually dark, and only when the sun shines on them can you see the colors. Here's the female, Anna's hummingbird. It has a greenish plumage, and then on the gorget, it has a shining magenta color when the sun hits it just right. So mostly green back, a little bit of dark on the wings. Here's the male really showing off so you can see what I mean. When the sun's not hitting it, you don't get that bright color like you do here. Here's an Allen's hummingbird sitting on its tiny little nest. It has still has a little bit of green, but a lot more brown. The rusty brown color tells you it's an Allen's hummingbird. And they have a sunset colored gorget. So here's another tiny little bird that is usually moving around so fast you can't get video of it, so this was very fortunate. It's a tiny little brown puffball, and it usually travels in large groups. It's called a bush tit. It has a little yellow eye, dark bill, a buffy crown, and slightly darker wings. And the way that you'll identify it when you're out in the field is if you hear a bunch of tinkling bells traveling in a group. Here is a red-winged blackbird, which is pretty evident by its coloration. So the female is mostly brown, so you wouldn't be able to tell that with the female. Those red shoulder patches are on the mature adults, and they have a little bit of a yellowish line underneath the shoulder patch. Their song, as you can hear, is pretty identifiable as well. So one of our special birds is this swallow, which we build nest boxes for because these birds nest only in tree cavities. When you don't have enough trees, you need a nest box. This is a tree swallow. They have very white necks, breasts, and bellies, and either a greenish blue back or a brownish back. The females tend to have more brown until they get older. The males have more of that color, the color in their feathers. But look for the bright white underneath to identify the tree swallow versus the barn swallow and the other swallows that we have at Ballona. This is a winter migrant. This is a sparrow. The bill can help tell you that as a pinkish bill. This is the immature version of this bird, so it doesn't have its crown colors yet. So this is a white crown sparrow, has the black and white crown once it's in adult plumage. Here is a California towhee. It's a special local bird, and it has a very broad bill. It's a sparrow, but it has a large bill. Not as large as a finch. That's how you can tell the difference between finches and sparrows. And it has that kind of orangey color on the chest and then underneath the tail on the rump. Otherwise, it's a fairly chocolatey brown, dusty brown color, blends in on the ground. So this is a sneak peek at one of the birds that we're going to be identifying in our backyard bird portion of our event. It's a juvenile. It has that yellow gape tells you that it's a young bird. It's recently left the nest, so it still has that big mouth so that it can take food from the adult. And he or she is feasting on some elderberries. This is a bird that breeds here at Ballona, but is kind of hard to see. So I wanted to give you a nice good look at it before we switch to the video. This is a male yellow warbler, as you might be able to guess by how yellow it is. Also has those brown streaks on the chest. Here we're looking into a cottonwood to try to find the yellow warbler. Oh, there it is. So this is a female yellow warbler. Doesn't have the brown streaks, and it's carrying something in its mouth, taking food to the chick that is maybe nearby, hidden in the leaves. So that's one of those birds that listening for the call might help you find it, because you could see how it really blends in with all of the colors on that tree. So that beautiful song might tell you that this is a song sparrow. Also, the spot on the chest is a very helpful identifying feature. It also has dark markings and streaks on the head and chest. Sometimes their song can be a little bit variable, or they only sing part of it. But over time, you'll get used to hearing that same call. Again, look for that spot. So this bird isn't super common, but I was really excited to get a video and wanted to show you. It has a lot of different colors on it. It also has a crest on the head and a large bill, large pointed bill, a chocolatey tail, a soft yellow breast and belly, brownish wings, very inquisitive looking. This is an ash-throated flycatcher. So it kind of has that pale gray on the throat. So here's another bird that's being sneaky, moving around the trees, though it is a common backyard bird as well. So bright yellow, black on the face and throat, making a telltale call. This is a hooded oriole. So it looks like he's wearing a little yellow hoodie. And there's a female or a juvenile. Sometimes they look the same and you can't really tell the difference. Here is another common bird at Ballona, and they also nest and breed here. They are great-tailed grackles. So here's a female great-tailed grackle that's feeding a young one. Sometimes the young ones can, once they're almost fully grown, they look the same size as the adults, which is kind of crazy. But so the females are brown, and here is a male with the shiny color, the black plumage that has some color iridescence in it in the sun. Okay, this is one of my favorite birds. There it's calling. It has lots of yellow on it, on the throat and breast. It kind of has a little black patch on its face that makes him look like a burglar. Little bird. This is the female version. Still calling. You can hear the calls in the background. And this is a common yellowthroat. Common in the wetlands, maybe not so much elsewhere, but it does hang out in the shrubs too. There's a male and female pair bouncing around in the reeds. Common yellowthroat. All right, time for some birds of prey. So the most common bird of prey is the red-tailed hawk, which I'm sure you can imagine. Though they do not get their red tail until the second year. So here is a slightly younger bird that doesn't have that bright red tail. They have more of the streakiness on their chest and wings as well when they're younger. Here are two red-tailed hawks clasping talons as part of their mating ritual. Here is another, a younger one hanging out in a tree, which can sometimes make it harder to identify, so don't feel bad about that. Here is a kiting bird of prey. It's a small falcon. There are several types of birds of prey that kite like that, so they're hunting and hanging out in the air. This is an American kestrel. Look for those markings on the face, those bands of color and the color on the head, all that chocolate and dark striping on the back. So the females are paler than this. Here is an easy to identify bird. Dark wings compared to the white chest and face. That striking eye. A bird that loves to hang out around water and really wants to catch a fish. They're only fish eaters. This is an osprey. Very cool. Here's another bird that loves to hang out in marshes specifically, sometimes known as a marsh hawk. It's on the cover of our guide. It's a northern harrier. It has that really big puffy head, the striping on the tails. It usually flies really low, so that's something that can help you identify with the behavior. But definitely that large head and the brown coloration can help you pick out this guy. But this is the female. The males are actually gray. Here's a common hawk that can be found in your local neighborhood. This is the adult, has that reddish striping on the chest and a dark cap and dark wings and broad bands on the tail. This is a Cooper's hawk. This is a juvenile Cooper's hawk, but doesn't have the red on the chest yet. It has nice dark stripes. Still has the banded tail though. That's a telltale feature for a Cooper's. All right, a few secretive and special birds as a treat. This is our special bird, the Belding Savannah sparrow, a threatened species. Nests only in pickleweed salt marshes. Has a special tinkling bell call. They have the streaking on their chest and little yellow tinge at the eyebrow. They are more streaky than a regular Savannah sparrow and have darker streaks. And here are two males counter singing, defending their territories in the pickleweed. Usually they're quiet most of the year, so that's the best time to look at them during breeding season. Okay, here is a really special video of another species of special concern for California. It's called a least bittern. So least meaning small. It's a small bittern, and it has those big grasping toes, and it's very stealthy. It moves quietly and slowly through the reeds to not be spotted as it's hunting for fish and little invertebrates in the water. That long bill, he got something. Has the streaks on the neck so that it can help blend in with the reeds. The coloration, the brown color on the back will help you identify if it's a male or a female. If it's a male, it's going to be much darker. If it's a female or a juvenile, it'll be paler. And they do breed here at the Ballona freshwater marsh. See how slow he's moving? Or she, sorry. Look at those feet and those toes. Very cautious movements. This will be hard to spot, so I wanted to really give you a chance to see it in video. Hard to find in the wetlands, even for expert birders. So here's a still, so you can really see the coloration on this little girl. Just beautiful, beautiful colors. Here's a young one with his poofy feathers coming in, losing his down feathers, replacing them with the adult feathers. All right, and then this is our iconic bird, the California least tern. So that's on our logo, and they are nesting right now at the Venice Beach Colony, and they come over to the Ballona freshwater marsh and to Ballona Creek to forage. So they fly around looking for a fish, and boom, drop down and catch somebody right out of the water. There's another splash, caught a little fish, and they will fly back to the colony to deliver them to their chicks. You can see those really tapered wings. It's a least tern because it's super tiny. And here they are. Here's one with its chicks hanging out on the beach. All right, we are going to transition. Pause here really quick. We're going to transition to our backyard bird quiz. So I'm going to show you a video of a bird, and then I'm going to do the poll so that you can tell us what it is. Okay, here we go. This is our first bird. We're going to do 5 birds all together. Bird number 1. So look for the colors. We've got brown and red, very broad bill, red on the chest and throat, breast and throat, brown wings. Oh, all right, pause. And we're going to stop showing this video so I can send out the first poll for bird number 1. Here we go. What was that bird? All right, a few more seconds. Almost everybody's voted. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so this was a house finch. House finches and house sparrows can be hard to tell apart, especially the females. With the house finch, you really want to look for that broader bill. And then it also has that reddish coloration, sometimes a little bit orange. The house sparrow has a slightly narrower bill, and it has darker coloration. It doesn't have that red or orange. So I encourage you to look up a picture of a house sparrow. You can see it kind of has like a black bib on the males and then a dark black head. All right, good job, you guys. I did put the house sparrow in there to trick you, so don't feel bad. All right, let's do another bird. Here we go. We're going to show bird number 2. All right, we're looking at the colors, the shape of the bird, little bill for picking up seeds. Pink feet. All right. All right, we're going to do the poll for bird number 2. Doing a good job, everybody. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, everybody wins this one because it is a mourning dove. Mourning like sad, not mourning like early in the morning, but that is a very typical spelling error. So you guys got a 100% on this. I'll give it to you. And now you've all learned that it's mourning like sad. That's why they have those mournful calls, even though it happens to be in the morning. All righty, we're going to do bird number 3. This one's maybe a little bit tougher. I have a full minute of video so that you can see the male and the female version of this bird. Sometimes they can be hard to spot. I forgot to crop out this part of the video, sorry. That's the male. Look at the crown and the neck and the chest. This is the female. Females are often less colorful. There's only a few bird species where the female is actually the more marked up version. Eating seeds, that can sometimes help you. Or she is, sorry. Look for the color, shape of the bill. You could see the female has a lot less color, right? All right. I'm going to do the poll for bird number 3. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, this is an interesting split. We have almost even split between lesser goldfinch and American goldfinch. One or two votes for Lawrence's goldfinch. Lawrence's goldfinches are pretty rare at Ballona. They have some kind of silvery gray characteristics about them that you might want to look into. I would love to see them more, but unfortunately we don't really get them that often. The lesser goldfinch is what we were looking at, though they can look really similar to American goldfinches, so don't feel bad about that. And they, the lessers really have that identifying dark cap on their head, as well as a more olive green color. The American goldfinches are quite striking in how yellow they are. So I would look for that when you're looking for an American. When they're flying in a group, sometimes they'll have a bunch of lesser goldfinches and then one American goldfinch, and you're like, wow, that is a really yellow bird. So keep an eye out for that when you're going out birding. All right, let's look for bird number 4. All right. Bird number 4, here we go. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so the small little bill helps you to figure out that, or the pointed bill, I should say, helps you to pick out that it's a flycatcher. And you get points for saying black flycatcher or black phoebe. The correct name is black phoebe, but it is also a flycatcher. So full points for that anyway, but it's not a sparrow. Sparrows usually have a broader bill, and the behavior on this bird will also help you to identify it, because it'll often fly out, catch a little bug out of the air, and then sit back down. Sparrows spend more of their time on the ground. And then that call of the black phoebe is really identifiable. It kind of goes Phoebe, Phoebe, kind of like a little Pokemon bird. So you'll be able to pick that out when you're seeing them in your backyard. All right, number 5 was our sneak peek earlier in the video. That song should help be your identifying factor. Kind of gray overall, but when it opens its wings, it has flight feather markings that would help you identify it in the field as well. All right, our last poll. This is a tricky one, mostly just because of the names I threw in there. But you will be able to learn this one really quickly once you get a good look at it. It's pretty unmistakable after that. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, good job. This is a northern mockingbird. This is the bird that's keeping you up at night, mimicking car alarms. Mocking jay is usually what we get because of the Hunger Games video. People often think that that's the correct word, but it's a mockingbird, not a mocking jay. And it was gray mostly, but once it opens its wings, it has that black and white coloration. And it's not a flycatcher, though they can sometimes look kind of like flycatchers because of the shapes of their bills and their coloration. Awesome, guys. That is our webinar for today. If we have any questions we need to answer real quick, because we're we're definitely over time now, let me know. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you in the wetlands one of these days. But please take all the skills you learned here today, take them out, explore Ballona on your own with your household. If you have any questions, you can email me, or if you need any advice about learning birds, let me know.
And Nessa, one more thing, the video that was recorded of your presentation is on the Migration Celebration page at BallonaFriends.org, particularly Kathy, if you're still on, I know you'd ask for the recording. Thanks, Nessa, great job.
Yes, we will get that up as soon as possible, and thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I hope you had fun, and I hope to see you at a couple more webinars today. Thanks, everybody.